Hi guys, thank you for joining me for another video today. This video is going to be a pretty easy and also a little bit technical. There's a couple of things that we're going to need to do, but before we start with the video, there's going to be a disclaimer. You need to make sure that you do not pirate any games. This is not a video about pirating games. This is a video about for educational purposes, how to play your old retro games that you already own in your Steam machine. So what we're going to be doing today, we're going to be basically adding emulation station, or basically EmuDeck, into the Steam machine. So you'll be able to play your retro games like your PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and so on and so on. Also your Dreamcast game, your Sega, your PSP, your PS Vita, so on, so on. And again, we're going to get through that. I'm only going to concentrate in this video in two specific consoles. The console is going to be the Nintendo WiiU, and the other one is going to be the Switch. I do have my own Switch games, plenty of physical Switch games, and I'm going to be using what you see here is called the MIG Switch. It used to be called the MIG Switch, but now it's called the MIG Flash. So I'm going to be using this to basically to dump my games. I'm only going to give an example of how it works. I'm not going to be using it for my games. I already kind of dumped a couple of them already, and that's the one I'm going to use for this video, for this demo, so you can learn how to install it. If you want to install emulator for the other ones, for like, let's say Sega or PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, or Vita, just to name a few, or even the Dreamcast, you will have to figure this out yourself. I'm going to put a link on the description below. They give you like a guide where you can get some of the ROMs or the BIOS that you need for some of these systems, so you can be able to upload them and be able to run those games on your Steam machine. Pretty much the games will run easily, really easily. And again, from here, if you're trying to run your games from this thing, they're going to be running really slow because the speed on this is pretty slow. This is like 120, 150, maybe 200 megabytes. So I end up getting a flash drive that is very small. And that's what I was having an issue where I want to install. If I want to install it physically on my SSD, which I do recommend, if you have a big SSD, if you have like a 4 terabyte, just use a 4 terabyte or even a 2 terabyte. Just install your games there. I will recommend to install it directly there. But if you want to save space, I recommend to get a flash drive. And I'm going to show you the flash drive that I got. I'm also going to put a link to the one that I bought, but you can get up to 1 terabyte. And I do recommend to get that one because you can also install other different games that I'm also going to mention on the video, that you can install also the games that do not require a fast drive to play, or basically to run. So you could use that as an additional storage unit. And also, if you can get a micro SD, get a micro SD. I'm not going to recommend to use a micro SD for the Switch games because sometimes the micro SD kind of die fast, but the flash drives, they usually last a pretty long time. I'm not going to say they're not going to die, but they do last a little longer. If you have any questions, please leave your questions on the comments below, so this way I can try to answer those for you. If you have any games that you want me to try, they have nothing to do with emulation, but on the Steam machine itself, please let me know, and I will also make videos. Okay, so no further ado, let's continue. All right, guys, so the first thing we're going to do, we are going to reformat that USB-C drive that I showed you earlier, the 256. So let's go to settings and let's scroll down here until we find storage. Here we go. And this is the one that we're going to use. Technically, you will get this screen here. Do you see the press Y to format the drive? So because I already did it earlier and my recorder was not recording, unfortunately, my screen capture. So we're going to go ahead and format. We're going to act like we're doing this for the first time. So at this point, we could just name it whatever we want. So let's go ahead and name it EmuDeck Games. You don't have to name this. You don't have to name it this way. You can name it whatever you want. You could call it games. You could call it retro games, whatever. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to name it this way. And we're going to go ahead and confirm. Let's say you don't have many games that require to be put on an SSD. And you can put on a micro SD or on a flash drive. You can run it that way. So in this case, you can have all your emulators to be on this drive. Plus, you can also install, for example, Prince of Persia, the last Prince of Persia game. This is like a Metrovania game that does run on a micro SD card. You can install it here. Or the Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3, the original. If you actually bought the updated versions that Capcom released, it was the original from the PlayStation 1. You can also install those, so you can have an idea what games I mean, or any other games that do not require fast hard drive like SSDs drive. So you can kind of install them here, so you can kind of use it both ways. So this way you don't have to waste your main storage, and if your main storage running low, you can use that. And it's at the same time, you don't have to get the 256. I only get the 256 because I'm going to be using Switch games, and I'm only going to be using the Switch game here. But if you're not doing what I'm doing, you can actually use it for both, for your main games from your Steam and the other way. So from here, what we're going to do now that we have that formatted, we are going to be going to the desktop. Most people should know how to get to desktop at this point, but then again, make sure to have a mouse and keyboard. All right, now that we are in the desktop, what we're going to do, we're going to open our browser. I'm going to put the website, is pretty much going to be EmuDeck, and I'm going to put it here on the screen. And also, if you guys do open this video on your Steam machine, you can actually copy and paste the link so you can be able to get there quicker. As soon as we arrive to the main page, which we're going to do, we're going to go to download, and you're going to see different platforms that you can actually install this. But we're going to do SteamOS. And from here, you're going to choose two options. If you're a Patreon, not everyone should be a patron, but if you want to, I'll recommend to be a Patreon subscriber if you want the cloud sync. If you don't care for that, just basically do the free. The cloud sync will be if you have EmuDeck on multiple different devices, your game file can follow you on each device. So you don't have to transfer that save file and put on the folder manually. But if you don't mind doing that, just do the free one. And we're going to wait for this to download, and we are just going to open our download folder. Here, what we're going to do, we're going to grab this, and we're going to slap it right, I'm going to slap it right in that corner. And let's say move here. All right, from here, what we're going to do, we're going to double click on this, and we're going to let it do its things here. All right, from this point, you're going to have these two options. How you want to do this, the easy or custom. We're going to do custom. We're going to do next. And we're going to pick the storage where we want to install our emulator, or where do we want our games, not install the emulator, but where we want our games to run from. So we're going to do custom because of the USB-C. And if you see it comes up here, EmuDeck games. But if you don't see it, just click on all the location and just click on it, and then it should come up. So as soon as you see it, just basically select it and hit OK. And from here, what we're going to do, we're going to do next. And you're going to pick Steam Deck. And I recommend to pick the highest, because what's it going to do is going to treat your games like they were downloaded from Steam directly. This one would basically install Emulation Station. And this way you can see all your games for all your emulator all at once. You basically will run it in Steam, and then it will open another application, and then you can see all your games, and you can select which platform you want to play from, and so on and so on. But I'm not using that. I'm going to be using this one because I'm going to be doing Switch games and Wii games. So we're going to start with that. And those games, basically you just select the game and you just play. So I want to take it the simpler route for me. Okay, and these are all your emulation that you can actually install. I'm not going to need any of these. So if you do, just select the one that you want. And you are going to require to have a couple of things for some of these. You're going to require to have a BIOS file, a key file, and also a firmware with a product key. Those things you need to find your own. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to give you that information where you can get it. And for the games, the same thing. You have to figure out how to get your games yourself, unless you have the physical copy yourself that you can kind of digitally transfer to your computer to add it. And again, that's something that you have to figure it out. But for now, this is the ones that I want. The next one is going to be configuration. If you want to configure, already have some of these already pre-configured before, then you can kind of uncheck these and then upload whatever configuration you already have before. But if you haven't, and this is your first time, just leave them alone and just continue from here. And here you're just gonna pick how you want the game to work. You know, like this will be out of save. If you play like retro games, we'll do out of save, but it will work with some of these games right here from this platform. So you're gonna see the platform that this setting's gonna work for, but you don't have to do it now if you don't want to. You can always come back to it, and I'm gonna show you how you can always go to it, but I'm gonna set it up myself just for now. For this one is retro achievement. You gotta go to retroachievement.org so you can create a user and password. So if you're playing certain games for the PlayStation or the PlayStation Vita or PSP, you will get those achievements for those machines type of games. But and again, we're not doing that, so we're skipping that. This will be things like this. You can see, and again, platforms in here. I prefer that. Oh, I should still one of these. Yeah, like that. I do have a Dreamcast. I'm gonna upload some Dreamcast stuff later, but I'm not right now. Yep. There we go. And again, some of this stuff you don't have to. You can skip all this. You can go next, and then you can do it later if you want. This one is the one that I think is ideal for some people. Some people like to leave it the way it is, and you have to figure it out. Like, you know, B is A, and A is B, and X is Y, and Y is X. So if you don't want to deal with that mentally, just hit, you know, to match your control layout. Some people just go this way and they kind of manually change it on the controller settings. I'm just gonna do it this way. All right, and it's just let it do his thing. All right, now that he's done installing the ones that were requested, so we are gonna go ahead and go next. You're gonna get this here. If you're gonna be like me, just installing Switch game and maybe Wii games or WiiU games, skip this. But I'm gonna show you where you need to go to install to just load all your games. So technically, go ahead and skip this. Go to the next one here. All right. So let's take a look here. We're just gonna keep going here, and it's just trying to finishing up everything else. Technically, it's supposed to be like a skip button. Just basically just click on the folder, just close it, and then just move on. Here, we are not gonna do this right now. We're gonna do this later. So we're gonna skip this here, and we're gonna do finish. We want to come and get here. This is what we're gonna do. And when it was done, you're gonna see it's just install this new icon here. So from here, if you want to make any changes for the stuff that we did earlier, like these, you can go ahead and manually go ahead and now rechange them. If for some reason you want to make any changes there, you can also come here and check the emulators that we have. We can update it there. We can do some update here too. Here, the ROM manager. This is where we're gonna update our stuff and send in our games directly from here to Steam, so we can kind of basically view the game like they're Steam games. So we're gonna do that later, but let's go ahead and close this because we're gonna come back to this, and I'm gonna open my files. This is my USB that I have my stuff in, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go here to this one, right click, and I'm gonna open as a new window, because this is where I have where I installed the emulator folder here. So we're gonna go to ROMs, and we're doing Switch, right? Switch games. This is some of them that I have here. I have more, but I'm using this just for demo right now. We're gonna look for the Switch folder, and you're gonna have every system folder here. So Switch, there we go. And here, what we're gonna need to do, for example, we're just gonna grab the base game, just drag it, and here it's gonna ask you if you want to move it or copy it. Just always do copy. All right, just finish all my Switch games. We're gonna do the WiiU. Gonna go ROM, and we're gonna drop our file here. Again, we're just gonna do copy. Okay, it's just finished. What we're gonna do, we're gonna go back. So we are done adding our game for the Switch and adding our game for the Wii. And again, I'm just going very small right now. Anything else you need to learn how to install, there are some tutorials there. I will be putting a link on guides from EmuDeck that you can actually use to kind of see what you need to do for each operation system, or each basically gaming system. Each folder is a different console. So all these are different consoles, like handhelds and platforms, from like Xbox to PlayStation, Nintendos, and all the handhelds out there, even Ataris and so on and so on. Okay, let's go to the next step. And the next one is going to be opening Ryujinx. And let's close this right here, WiiU, and you're going to see it right here. We can just right here and pin it to a task so we can always have access to it. And go ahead, open it. All right, you will be getting this message saying that the product key is now available. So we're going to go ahead and add that here. And let me take a look real quick. We have the product key here, and I also have the firmware that we're going to need for the switch. So the latest product key is going to be this 22. So I'm going to need to go ahead and unzip it. You're going to see product key and title key. All right, so we are going to put this to the side. I'm going to go to action here, key, and basically search for it. Okay, and you can see new key is installed. Okay, so the next one is going to be updating the firmware, because you need to add a firmware for this. Again, we're going to go here, our firmware, and the latest firmware is the 22. And do open, and let us do its thing. All right, so we are done with the difficult part. Now what we're going to do is going to close this. We're going to open again. All right, so when you close the Ryujinx and reopen it, your game should start popping up, coming up here. And again, I'm going to be blurring out the games that I'm using for Nintendo, but I do have the physical copy for each of this game. I'm using a little device called the MIG Flash Dumper. So what that does, it allows me to basically put a Nintendo Switch game into our system. So I'm going to show you an example of what that will be. So let me close this real quick here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and load up a Switch game that is not by Nintendo, it's by third party. See here coming up. And go to mount. And you see the folder here. So the folder, if you want to copy a game, whenever you're going to see all this, you need to look for this one. That's the one. Then you can go ahead and name it to what it's supposed to be. I'm not going to say exactly which game is this. But also, if I want Ryujinx to basically run this game, it could run the game from there. Let's say, let's go ahead and see here. And as you see, it picked up the ROM, and I hit open. Just give it a couple of seconds, and hopefully it runs the game. There we go. It's opening the game. And here we go. So technically, this game, I don't need to load it to the Steam machine because I already have this game in Steam anyway. And the best part is because the reason I bought this one in Steam is because anything I do on PC, anything I do on the PC, it basically cross save. It continue my games on the Switch, so I can play this game on the go on my Switch. It takes a minute to load up here, but as you can see, it is kind of loading. All right, as you can see, it's already loaded here. And I think I haven't set up the controller. I'm not using my controller, I'm using my mouse and keyboard. There we go. This is my controller. All right, as you can see, we got that game running, and that was directly actually from the cartridge. It would have moved a lot faster if I would load up the entire file into my system. But it takes a minute because the cartridge is running on a specific speed. So if it was on the, like I said, on the USB-C, it's probably gonna run a little faster. Let's go ahead and try this one real quick. This one did not took that long to load. I'm not gonna say exactly which game is this. Yeah, probably will have an idea. I'm gonna blur it out. I'm blurring out the gameplay so you guys, so I don't get in trouble basically. But you guys will get an idea probably by also not gonna try to have the sound to play, because then again I don't want to be being stricken down by you know who. But I can tell you it looks pretty good to me. There are mods that you can also add to this if you do have mods for your games. So if you have cheats and stuff that you want to add, you're more than welcome to add those. But you have to make sure to be on desktop to activate those before you can run your game on game mode. Okay, let's get back to the desktop. All right, so let's say you want to add like a mod or you want to update the game. So let's go ahead and right click here. And if you need to update the game, this is where you can update it. This is where you can add a DLC, the cheats and mods to the games if you have those. So this way you can just, for example, let's say update, click on this. We don't find one, but we can go ahead and add one. Let's go here. Have an update for this game. Let's go ahead and press open. Update added. As you can see, that's the update. This is what the game's telling me. So 1.0. So we go ahead and save. And now it's refers to 1.2.1. As you can see, the update has taken place. And let's go ahead and try to see if we can add a mod. Same thing, we need to just right click, hit mod, this open and do add. And then we're gonna basically go to where we have our stuff saved. Click OK. And I have a folder said mod, and you just look for that folder with the mods, and then you're gonna see all your mods popping up here. And this way you can go ahead and activate all of them or don't, but let's do save. But if you want to activate a specific mod, for example, you can also hit enable all, and you see the little blue lines there is basically showing you they all are enabled. The one with the blue line, you can disable those, all of them, and then just click the one you want to enable. So we're gonna get rid of that. We're gonna do steady 60. But even without it, the game was looking good. And then after that, we just hit save and you're good. For this one, we also gonna have mod here. We're gonna add a mod here. Same thing. The only thing, we have to go through each and one of these things here. All right, so if you have a mod for each of those games that you have, or an update, now you know how to update them by going to the manage update. If you want to add a DLC, you do the same thing. You look for that DLC if you have it. Basically, search for it just the same way. It's straightforward, and then you'll be able to update it or add that DLC or add those mod or cheats if you have it. Just right click and you go here, and you'll be able to add it that way. All right, guys, so that is it to add those games there for the Switch. We have the other one that we're gonna need to add in here. Okay, so I'm going in and add this one, Cemu. I'm gonna open it. Okay, for Cemu, what we're going to do is open the Cemu folder. You see this thing says here key, right? We're gonna need to update that. So we're gonna go back to our ROM, and we're gonna look for the WiiU, and you see this key right here. We're gonna basically do this, and we're gonna copy here. It's gonna say if you wanna overwrite it, it says yes, yes. And that should pretty much help there. That's key. Has the information to allow us to play all the Nintendo Wii U games. These are there. So that's what it's for. And again, we're gonna go ahead and close this now. And here we are. The game is running. So that's how you add the games on your Wii U, and that's how you add your key to the Wii U. And again, I'm not gonna provide this information, how to get them. You need to go and get them yourself, unfortunately. I do apologize for that, but for legal reasons, I do not support piracy unless you own your own copies of the game. If you do own your own copies of your game, you should be fine. And you're able to dump the games yourself, you should be fine. If you don't have access to be able to dump it, you have to figure out how to learn how to do that. That's something that you have to deal with that yourself, then you should be fine. All right, let's go ahead and close this. And now we are done here. And we're gonna go back to Ryujinx. No, sorry, not Ryujinx, EmuDeck. All right, so we'll make it here. What we're gonna do, Steam ROM Manager. And when this open, the first thing you're gonna do is choose, and you're gonna choose who account is logged in. It pretty much is gonna be you. And you basically select it, oops, and do save. You can see it here, and we're gonna do next. When we get here, we're gonna click on this, and we're gonna manually select what we want. And what we're looking for is Ryujinx. We are looking for these here. Okay, and then we're gonna do add games and this. So it's gonna look for the games that we already added. So as you can see, this is the games that I want to add it. And what we want to do, we want to save it to the Steam. Let it do its thing. And if you want to exclude a specific game, you can go here to exclude. There is going to be a little arrow here. If for some reason the artwork that you're seeing, it doesn't work for you, you want to change it. But because we have a Steam Grid DB, you can make those changes there. So you don't have to worry about the artwork not matching, or if you don't like it, you can change it using Steam Grid DB. And again, we're going to do save to Steam. And then we should be pretty much done. We just can go ahead and close this here. And if you want to test them out, what you could try to do to see if it shows up in Steam, just open Steam here on your system instead of going straight to game mode. And then I will say just hit the big picture mode, because that's what you're going to be playing in. All right, guys, now that we are in big picture mode, so from here, what we're going to do, we're going to go to library, and we can go here to non-Steam, but you can see the non-Steam library is pretty ridiculous. So we're going to go to collection. So collection is broken down into different folders. You can see Epic Store, GOG, and what we're going to do, look for Switch, see what we have here. Perfect. Let's say you didn't like the artwork. Let's go to artwork here, change. And we're going to go ahead and see what we like here. Some of this artwork, sometimes will have like a Switch cartridge artwork. So if you want to do that, then you can do that. But if you don't see that, then just pick whatever whatever works for you. And then you can keep going and just keep updating it this way. You kind of get the idea. And another one that I installed was the WiiU. Let's click on the WiiU. And as you can see, the artwork is already changed. I already make the changes on this one. And it looked like a Nintendo Switch cartridge. So let's click on it, and you can see the artwork already changed here. So let's go ahead and play, see what happens. And here we are. For this one, if you do install a Switch game, it's going to ask you for the controller. Make sure for the controller you use the WiiU gamepad. Because if you use the Pro one, your controller is not going to work properly. So make sure to use this one. For some reason, this is what has worked for me. But let me take a quick look, because now we're doing on the Steam machine. Let's see what happens. See, like the controller doesn't work no more. So now the controller doesn't work no more. So see, like I'm stuck. I cannot go back. So I should have picked a pad. So let's do that again. Okay, so I selected the pad, and now the controller works. So yeah, just select the pad whenever you play WiiU games. Don't take the Pro controller part of it. Do not take the WiiU Pro controller. This is gonna give you some issue. Just make sure to pick the WiiU gamepad. That works. All right, guys. Let me go ahead and stop this. All right, so that is it. So if this video was helpful in any shape or form, please guys leave a like and a follow, and I'll see you in the next one. I have a video that is pretty interesting that I'm trying to work on based on the MIG Flash Dumper. So I have some idea that I want to do with that, but I'm doing some coding to make it work the way I want to. I do not want to give you a demo now yet because I'm still working on some stuff. If it does work the way I'm thinking to make it work, then I will be making a video. If for some reason, if it doesn't go out the way that I want it to go, then unfortunately a video is not going to be done. I got some pretty good idea that I was coming up with to do with it. So hope if it does work out, I can show you how to do it. Hopefully Nintendo doesn't strike my channel after I do that. But then again, if it does work out, you'll see a video. If it doesn't, there's not gonna be no video. All right guys, so for now, leave a question, leave some comments below. Any games you want me to test on this Steam machine, let me know so I can go and test it out, and I make maybe a 5 or 10 minute video based on those information or result that I get on those games. But for now, leave a like and a follow if this video was helpful in any shape or form, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.